It's time for the Creator Town Hall here on Studio Live today, brought to you by our wonderful friends at BandLab. Yeah, if you're a creator, I recommend checking out BandLab. You can sign up for free, use the link up the top there or down in the description, and you can do a whole bunch of cool things in here. We'll be taking a little look at BandLab a little later in the show because it's actually one of our feature topics here today. We'll be doing some mixing of some stems from GarageBand. We'll be bringing them into BandLab and playing around with them. That'll be a heap of fun. We're also talking about a few other things. Web 3.0 is starting to feel an awful lot like Web 1.0, and I want to discuss that with you folks here today. We'll talk about loudness in your mixes. We'll talk about scams and music scams and how to avoid them. So all of that and a bucket of fish here. Now, I am flying solo today, so we don't have any of our wonderful guests, which means it is your time to shine. So if you're here live and you've got any questions, all you need to do is throw the word question at the start of your comment. I'll know that's a question, and I'll make sure that we can answer it. And if you've got any pearls of wisdom, any topics you want to discuss, any things that you want from me, this is a bit of an Ask Me Anything as well, this show here, because it's by creators and for creators. So anything related to creating music and creating videos and creating in your home studio is up for grabs. Let's dive into some news and notes from the week, shall we? So I'm wearing my DistroKid t-shirt. As you know, DistroKid are also a sponsor of this fine channel, as are BandLab, and they've actually just released themselves a brand new platform, which is called, funnily enough, DistroVid. Yeah, there it is, DistroVid. So what this is, it's like DistroKid, but for videos. And there's a question actually there. There's a poll question here on YouTube at the moment, which is asking you, do you distribute your music? So if you're here live, answer that poll question. We'll be closing that off at the end of the show, and we'll be discussing some options for distributing music. But here's the deal. DistroKid only allowed you to distribute your audio, not your video, whereas now their new service DistroVid lets you release your HD, your 4K, your amazing music videos that you've spent hours and hours crafting and creating, and release those to Apple Music, to Vivo, to Amazon Music, to Tidal, and to their own DistroVid library. And you can see there that one of the things that people have been chatting about this week is it's $129 per year. So why so much? Well, it's a different kettle of fish here. When you consider the difference of distributing an audio file, which even the highest quality WAV file is going to be around 20 or 30 megabytes, or maybe 40 or 50 for a longer tune. If you think 4K video and the complexity of releasing 4K video across all these platforms, it basically goes up quite a few notches. And to date, just to release one music video for one single using other services is about $200. So for $129 per year, it is actually a good deal. I know for those of us that use DistroKid and you're like, well, $19.99 for music and $129 for music video, is it worth it? Well, yeah, that's a good question. And for a lot of folks, it won't be. And here's the thing. This is for your music videos. This isn't for lyric videos. This isn't for visualizations. This isn't for the videos that you might throw out there with your releases. This is if you're going to go to the effort of creating a music video experience. So something that's going to be really customized for your music video. And if you then want to release that. So is it for everyone? No. And look, that's okay. It may not be for you. That's what I say about all these services. When people get really angry and start lighting their torches and get ready with the angry mob to go out there, I say, just stop and think. Sometimes it's okay to scroll past. DistroVid is probably going to be for about 5% of creators. Maybe not even that many. However, DistroKid, getting your music out there is going to be a lot more important for a lot of other people. There you go. Gregory Sullivan says all my epic 720p's will be just fine on YouTube. Yeah. And look, for most people, because you might be saying, look, what's the difference? What is the difference between just releasing my own on YouTube and having this? Well, this goes to other platforms. This will actually go out to things like Amazon and things like Apple Music, so that when people are actually listening to music, you know how you may not, but if you're an Apple Music user, you'll notice that when you go to Apple Music, it'll have the song, but if there's a linked music video, it'll have that video there as well. So you do have the option to go to both of those. Yeah, exactly. It seems really cool, but as you said, it's much bigger financial commitment. Probably not. And yeah, it's probably not for many folks at the moment. And remember, this is beta. So DistroKid are famous for putting things out that are beta versions, that are just testing the water. And they may find that this is either really popular and maybe they can reduce the price or offer other options or buy the song options, or maybe it's exactly what everyone's needing. So kudos to DistroKid for trying things. Again, full disclosure, they are a fellow sponsor of this channel, but I thought that was interesting stuff this week. The other thing which Mark has mentioned here, we have new versions. We have new iOS, iPadOS, and Mac OS coming out. Now, this isn't specifically an iOS and a Mac show. This is all about creators. So we will be talking about that more on GarageBand Weekly in a few days' time once I've had a chance to actually play with them. But some of the cool features that have come out of that are the accessibility features that we're seeing. So there's some amazing stuff being done in the world of accessibility. And I know many folks here that have vision impairment, that have mobility impairment, use iOS devices because the voiceover feature, the other accessibility features that you have on here through Siri and through shortcuts and through other things are pretty gosh darn amazing. So if you're a creator and you are creating on iOS and you have vision impairment or mobility or other impairments that make it more difficult for you to create music, not impossible obviously, but more difficult, then this is good news because there's cool new features coming to iOS and iPadOS in particular, and also to Mac OS. So keep an eye out for that. And finally, very self-serving news here, but I wanted to throw it out there and I've lost my link to it here now, but I'm going to bring it back up. I'll link to this in the description as well. But we have something that's by popular demand is that Your Music Live, the show that we do here on the show. Sorry, now I'm trying to find it. No. We'll link to it later. There it is. Okay. So Your Music Live is our weekly live show for independent music creators to share your music here on the channel. And the challenge has been finding a time that works for everyone. So the actual Your Music Live show happens at a time that works for our North American friends and US and Canada and Australia, but it's the middle of the night for the UK. So we are doing a Your Music Live extra second anniversary extravaganza happening on June the 9th. And here's the cool thing. It's going to be at 2 p.m. for those in London, 6 a.m. on the west coast of the US and 9 a.m. on the east coast, and at 11 p.m. for our friends in Australia. So I'm hoping that everyone, or at least folks that can't usually tune in, will be able to tune in because it's kind of at almost exactly the opposite time that we do it. So we're throwing that out there, or I am, let's be honest, well, me and DistroKid. So we're throwing that out there for that, and that's happening in 3 weeks. So 3 weeks, just under 3 weeks from today. So on the 9th of June. So set your calendars now, folks. That should be a heck of a lot of fun. Alrighty. Do we have anything else that I was going to talk about in the news and notes? No, I think that is everything that we're covering there. So let's dive in and look at some BandLab stuff, shall we? So BandLab are our sponsor of this very cool show, well, hopefully very cool show, and they are very cool people, and the platform BandLab is pretty darn amazing. I've been playing around with the web version, but also the iPad version. So there is a version for iOS, so you can use on your iPhone or your iPad. There's also an Android version. There's BandLab everywhere for everyone, and it's 100% free, and it's 100% cool. You can see here, you can sign up for free, you can follow other artists, you can have artists following you, you can create music right here in the platform, you can share it, you can collaborate. And one of the things that I've been playing around with, because some people say to me, Pete, I use GarageBand, or I use Logic, or I use Cakewalk. Here's the cool thing. You can actually bring your stems here into BandLab, and if you've been following the channel here, I'm doing my 8-bar challenge here at the moment. So let's jump over to the iPad. You can see I've been playing around. This is BandLab on the iPad, so it's very similar sort of experience. A little bit different here in terms of the interface, but it's a similar sort of experience. But I've been playing around in GarageBand and doing this 8-bar challenge. So if you've been tuning into that, we've created this 8-bar kind of metal song. It was originally going to be more sort of death metal. That's what people wanted to hear, but it's definitely still a metal style song. Let's just make sure our audio is working by giving this a little play. So we had a lot of fun the other day. Got a lot of processing on that one. We had a lot of fun the other day putting this one together. Now, what I wanted to do is I wanted to put BandLab to the test today for mixing this track. But here's the thing, GarageBand doesn't support exporting of stems, not easily anyway. but there is a way to do it, and that's what I'm going to show here. So what I've done, I've actually done all the dirty work already for you, but I'm going to show you how we did it. So what I've got here, this is the stem out version of this track that I've created here, and I've exported each of these as individual WAV files just to show you how that all works. If we come back out to here, and you can use this in any DAW. Some DAWs have an export stems where it actually goes through and individually exports each stem, but there are still some things to consider, which I'll talk about here now. So if we go here into this particular track, in fact, you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to create a duplicate version of this one. So I'm going to duplicate this out. So this is this version 5. This is the one we can ruin and play around with. So the problem is, hang on, no, we've done that wrong. We've done that wrong. Delete that one. We wanted to duplicate this one that had all the processing. So when you're creating stems to send from one platform to another, you generally want to make a decision pretty early on around processing. So my way of doing this is to bring everything back to a 0 volume or a unified volume and to remove all plugins from every track. So for instance, if we started with this bass loop, you can see here that it's panned to one side and it's got some processing on there. So what I would generally do is come out here, double tap on your track volume, and that'll reset it to default. Double tap on my panning here, go into plugins and EQ, make sure everything's turned off. Now this one's actually a loop, so this one's a little bit different. What we then do is make sure that that is soloed, come out to here, and then export this. So export this as a WAV file. So just use your standard share process here, tap on song, tap on uncompressed WAV file, hit the open in button here, and that'll export it. We then save that somewhere on iOS. So I've done this for all 8 tracks. I'll just X out of that one. Sometimes it has puppies when you try to cancel and export. It's like, what do you mean you want to cancel it? So I probably shouldn't have done that. I probably should have let it completely export. Yeah, there it goes. All right, so let's go back into this one here, and the other tracks. So that one's going to have a bit of processing on there. But for instance, something like this guitar, when we export this one, this has already got tone bridge. It's got some LRC5 processing on here, so it sounds like this. So if we want to just leave it at that and bring that in as a separate track into another platform, that's fine. But if we want to potentially remix it, what we'll need to do is firstly turn off all plugins. So to make it completely clean here, we want to turn off the automation by tapping here and turning off any automation, like so. That turns that one off. And then we want to make sure that we go back here to our plugins and EQ, turn off any echo and reverb. And the tip here is if you double tap on this stuff, it turns it all back to its default setting. So once you've got it back to its default setting like that, it's going to be completely clean audio. Sound like this. So that's very different from that distorted tone that we had before. And then it's just a matter of coming out here and exporting it over and over again. Now you'll notice here that in my naming, I've done this, that every time I export it, I just put a number at the end. So whatever track number I'm exporting, I put the number there. Now you can do it that way, or you can do the name of the instrument that you're actually putting there when you're exporting stems. And it is a good idea if you're going to share stems with someone else to also put the BPM and potentially the key signature in there as well. So that is all the prep work that I've done over here on the iPad. And I've saved those all to my iCloud drive so that I can bring them in here. In fact, there they are. So there are my 8 stems. They're these exact stems that you just heard there. They're all the same size because they're all just WAV files of those stems. And now, not surprisingly, what we're going to do is drag these suckers over here into BandLab. So to do that, we're going to hit the create button in the top right corner, and I'm just going to X out of this because what I want to do first is make sure that my time signature is set correctly. So it is 120 BPM. I want to put it into the correct key signature, which is going to be E minor. So we'll scroll on down to E minor, and now we're ready to bring in these stems. And it's as simple as drag and drop right here in your browser. I'm using Chrome, and then just bring it to the start there. And you can see how it's actually lining all those up. So this is my first track here. If we play this one, it's going to sound like this. And remember, that's the bass loop that we in fact got from BandLab and threw over to GarageBand to start with. So it's simply a matter of bringing each stem in. And to be honest, it's actually easier to do this because you can literally just drag and drop each one in. It's one of the easier platforms to actually import. Again, just want to make sure that they go right to the front there. That's the only sort of trick here, because when you're bringing stems in, you need to make sure that they're all in the same spot. So it'll color code these so you get a nice rainbow of colors and drop. Oh, actually, that's a good point. Can we do multiples? I've never tried this. Here we go. Let's see. Will it take multiples? Look at that. I've just increased my workflow a heap, because you can do that. I didn't even know that. There you go. We're discovering new things about BandLab on the daily. So you could actually, technically, you could grab all 8. Should we do it? Should we try it? Let's just delete all these tracks. Let's start from scratch. In fact, I just want to see, because that could be a big time saver if you're going to try this method. So let's abandon that one. We'll go back to create. We will X out. We'll do exactly what we did before. This is good practice for us to do this. We'll go to the E minor, and then we will come over here and grab those stems. All right, we've got all 8 of them. Let's just drag and drop them. Boom. It's put them all there. Now, because they're all selected, we should just be able to bring them all straight across. Look at that. How easy was that? Super cool. All right, I'm happy with that. I'm glad. Look at that. We're saving time and effort already. Now, when we play this, these are all back to unified volume. So this is probably going to sound terrible. I'm going to turn my volume down, because first thing we need to do is to remix these as static. So let's try this. We'll hit the space bar here. And how funny does the growl sound? I've never heard that growl without any processing. Let's solo this and play that. It just sounds like I'm having some sort of I think immediately after that, if you watch me do that live, I started choking. Pretty cool. All right, let's come back to the start here. What we're going to do is going to stretch out this to make sure that our little thing, what do you call that? A little playback loop is covering all the area that we want, which is from bar 2 up to about bar 13 there, so that when we play our loop recording, it's going to play from there. We'll unsolo that. So what we can do now is start using the mixing tools. And this is what I've been excited about, is that GarageBand, to be honest, for me, because I'm so used to it, if I'm just recording in a vocal or a guitar or a keyboard part, it's easy for me to just grab that, because wherever I have my phone and my iPad, I can do it. And you can use the BandLab app and record directly into there, and it does work quite well. But again, for me, or if you're used to using another platform, but you want to try out BandLab's cool mixing techniques and features, then this is something that you may want to do. So what we're going to do, we'll just do a quick mix, volume down mix here. We'll take everything down to zilch, and then we'll just start building it up. So I happen to know that our drums are this one. Now, ideally, I wouldn't have named these tracks 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. I would have named them the actual name of the track itself. But we'll come in here and we'll give this a go, and we'll hit the solo button there. Nope, that's my bass. We'll find our drums. Is that this one? Oh. There they are. So drums is track 3. Hang on, this one here, track 3. There we go. There we go. So we'll actually drag this track up a little bit and put that as track 1. So we'll have this, and then we can sort of start building up from here, adding each one. There's our own bass. Very cool. So what we can start doing is adding effects into these. So there's different ways to do this. The easiest way that I've found is to start using our presets. So I've got a complete video series all about BandLab where you can actually learn a heap more about these. But for now, here's a quick crash course. So we've got these drums. If we tap on this button down here to the bottom, these effects, we can actually just tap on the preset here. And the cool thing is, if you just search drums, look at this. We've got a whole bunch of actual drum effects here. So we can go like industrial drums, massive drum tones with extra grit. All right, let's throw this on. You can see it puts a valve screamer, digital compression. It puts a TechLab BA2A, a noise gate, the space maker, and it's doing some EQing on there as well. So interesting stuff. Let's solo just these drums and see what this preset has done to these drums. Yeah, right? A little bit intense. Probably not the sort of level of intensity we want for this. Let's tap that again. Let's search drum again. So we don't want that. We want to X out of that and search drum. Hang about. There we go. Let's go with we don't want distortion. Let's just go mellow drums. Let's see what mellow drums do. So this time we've just got a little bit of EQ to add some sort of 400 hertz there and reduce down our top end. We've got a compressor and we've got a little space maker for some room reverb. So let's see what this one does. That's nice. Cool, so we can do that. We can then come in here and start playing around with our other tracks. So in particular, this bass, whoops, wrong one. This bass sound here, this is actually our guitar sound. So we can start playing with this and adding in guitar effects. So we can tap on the little button here and use presets there, or the easiest way is to come down to the effects and hit your presets here. So this time we want a distorted guitar sound. So let's go distorted guitar, distorted. So there you go, we've got like the indie grunge. I think this one could work really well. So let's play this with the indie grunge. Right? Now you can tweak and change these to your heart's content. You can add your own effects. So if you really like your tweaking, you can come in here and add all of the different effects to your heart's content. Now, because it's BandLab, you can't add third-party plugins. So I know I've been asked that a few times. You do need to use the BandLab plugins, but there's so many in there that you're going to have some fun playing around with these. Let's just add one more track here. So this is our standard bass track that was already processed. So we probably don't need anything on that. But this one here is the bass track that we've added in here. So let's just finish up by adding a cool bass tone. Oh, we've got the volume down. Let's turn that up. So this one I'm hearing more of a funky bass. So if we go to our presets and we'll go funk, there you go, funk bass, or we've got funk wah, we've got funky phase, we've got a heap of options that we can go with there. Well, I'm realizing that my micro, I could feel some vibrations coming through the desk and I realize I've got my monitor speakers on. So take a listen to this one. Funky bass, yeah. Bring that back in with our other tracks. Lots of cool stuff going on here. I know you want to hear the scream, so before we finish up, I'm not going to do the whole track, but before we finish up, let's take a listen and a look at this scream. So at the moment, it's going to sound a bit wussy because it's going to sound like this. Try that again. All right, that's not a metal scream. That just sounds like I've got laryngitis. We need to try something here. Let's go to the FX preset. And again, if we X out of that, we'll go in here. We can go the vocals and let's just scroll through here and see if, what about distortion muse? There you go. Distortion effect with a rock flavor for vocals. Let's see what distortion muse is going to sound like. Because I thought this was a little bit muse-like, this song. So let's give this one a listen. Nice. Pretty cool. But what I would probably want is to add even more reverb there. So again, all we need to do is come here and let's just find a reverb plugin that can, let's go the space maker and really drive up the size and the mix of this space maker just to give ourselves some ridiculous over-the-top reverb on this screen. Nice. So there's a heap of cool effects and plugins and things to play with right here in BandLab. And again, if you're not going to record in BandLab, then just bring in your tracks. Bring them in from anywhere else. And the cool thing then is, because BandLab lets you collaborate with other people, you can then save that mix in, and then you can have other people add their own tracks, add other tracks to it. You can collaborate with other people. Other people can fork it. Yes, I said fork it, which means they take that track and then they build it and make it their own. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to open this one up. So after the show, or if you're watching on the replay, I'm going to remove all those effects and leave that one sitting in there as my 8-bar challenge, which means you can go in there. If you're a BandLab member, you can go in there and you can start playing around with those 8 tracks and make me do weird things there. So thank you to BandLab again for sponsoring this show. We appreciate their support. Oh, we do. I was like, where's the dog? The dog's sleeping behind me. I could just hear some scuttling noises there, but the dog is asleep under the desk over there. Little Basil. Alrighty. Yes, you can follow me on BandLab from doing that. Yeah, it's from cat to lion. Very, very cool. The funny part is that the one bass line with a lot of movement was exported from BandLab. Exactly. That's the weird thing. It was in one of the metal packs. Exactly. Am I using the studio display camera? I'm actually not, but I did notice that my camera settings were a little bit strange here. So let me just jump in because I am looking a little bit tanned, aren't I? I've got a little bit of additional saturation there. So let's just remove my tan. So no. For those that don't know, I do have the Apple were kind enough to send me the Apple Studio Display. So I've been playing around with that. It is a very nice display. I still haven't really got to grips with how cool it is. It's very it's like 5K, so the text quality and like I don't have great eyesight, but on this I can read all your comments. Like I can have everything scaled down and have a heap of stuff on my screen, and it's still crystal clear. So yeah, the Apple Studio Display is going well as well. Hello, Tony Corlett. Is this pre-recorded? No, it's not, and hopefully I've proven that by putting a comment on the screen. Let's continue on here. If you do have any questions, by the way, all you need to do is put the word question at the start of your comment, and I'd be happy to answer any questions that you may have about anything related to creativity, to home recording, to home studio, to anything at all. So thank you all for being here. If you've having fun, hit the thumbs up button. That would make me happy, and it would make the YouTube algorithms. Yeah, live and direct from sunny Australia, where it was 7 degrees Celsius when I got up this morning, which for Australia is officially bloody cold. Like there's cold and there's bloody cold in Australia. That's bloody cold. Join BandLab because of you. Very cool. Yeah, look, join up to BandLab. It's fun. It's free and it's fun. And as far as I've found so far, there's nothing in there. There's no nasty gremlins. They don't ask you. It's not like freemium. You don't start using it and then suddenly they're like, oh, we hope you've been enjoying these features on BandLab. Now it's time to pay. Yeah, like anything, there are ways that you can actually pay for things and get paid and do interactive things, but everyone can just use everything in there for free. It's not like you get the basic pack and then if you want the really cool sounds, you have to pay for the premium. It's all actually free. I'm not quite sure how they do it. I'm not going to ask too many questions, but it's very, very, very cool. All right, let's move on to some other topics, shall we? So this is where we want your interaction going on here. Let's talk. Let's us talk about distribution. So, music distribution. If you aren't aware, you can actually distribute your music to Spotify and Apple Music and iTunes and Deezer and all the places. And you can use someone like DistroKid. They're not sponsoring this video, but they are a sponsor of this channel. Full disclosure. CD Baby, TuneCore. There's a whole heap of new distributors coming up and starting to offer different services. Now, I wanted to put it out there and say that I've had some people ask me in the last week, they're like, why would you bother distributing your music? Like, you don't get to own it. You don't get to sort of make sure that everything's the way you want it. Why wouldn't you just use Bandcamp or something where you control and you sell your music? And my answer to that is usually, why not do both? So the reason that people say Bandcamp is good, and if you're not familiar with Bandcamp, it is actually a really cool platform. I've never used it to sell music, but I know people who have and who do. The Delicate Giants, for instance. So let's do some BandLabbing here. So let's come in here and search for this. So let's search the Delicate Giants. If we click in here, we can go Delicate Giants. This is Russ and Gary, our friends from the UK. So the Delicate Giants. So we can come in here and you can check out their works there. So Moonworks is their latest album. We can click on that one and you can buy the digital album for £7. That's a pretty gosh darn good deal, and I recommend that you do that. However, for some people, they're not going to listen on BandLab. They want to listen on Spotify because they're on Spotify. So you know what you do? You release with a distributor so that instead of saying you need to go to bandlab.com/Delicate Giants, you need to pay for it, you need to then download the BandLab, the Bandcamp mobile app, you then need to have that with you and play the songs there. For some people, they might already have Spotify. Well, I'm not in Spotify. Let's go to say YouTube Music instead. So people like me may be a YouTube Music user, and they listen on YouTube all the time. So here's the thing: if I come in here and I go Delicate Giants here on the YouTube Premiums, I can actually come in here and find the Delicate Giants. They're everywhere else there. There we go. So the topic channel. So here is the Delicate Giants, and I can come in here and I can stream this. And the cool thing is, if I want to play this wherever I am, I can come in here and like this, and I can actually add this to my playlist. I won't play too much of that. Go and check it out yourself. It's very cool. Not that Russ puts Content ID on his stuff, but the whole point that I'm making here is that the reason that distribution is good is that it makes it easier for your listener. Now, I watched a video from Musformation. So I don't know who it was that put me onto Musformation, but it's a very cool channel. I'll bring up the video here. So
DistroKid has long been one of the most innovative and artist-friendly services in music today, and they have just done a pretty...
Sorry, I brought it up and it went into my wrong thing here. Having a few technical challenges today here, aren't I? Let's bring this one up here. All right, there. Whoop. I'm on the wrong page. There we go. Got it all. So here it is. So this is Jesse Cannon from Musformation. So he did a whole video about DistroVid, and it's very cool, by the way. I'll link it down in the description. It's worth a watch. And at the end of the video, Jesse said something really interesting, which is kind of what sparked my thoughts to talk about this today, which is that listeners want to listen where they want to listen. So he was talking about things like Tidal and Deezer and Amazon and places like this. And basically his point was, even if 80% of your listeners are on Spotify and Apple Music, if you're only focusing on those channels and platforms, then you're missing 20% of the opportunity for people to not only listen to your music, but to discover and find your music. So the cool thing about a distribution company is that you get your stuff out there everywhere. So I would be like Russ of the Delicate Giants. I would be like our friend Thomas Christ, wonderful moderator extraordinaire here, and just do both. In me. Distribute using a distributor, and also put your stuff on at Bandcamp, so that if people want to support you and they want to buy your stuff and they know that something like Bandcamp means that you actually do get some of those proceeds pretty quickly, as opposed to distributors that do take longer to pay you, then they can do that and they can support you that way. So let us know, though, if you're watching here on the YouTubes, do throw your weight into the argument, because there's a open question there, a poll question that's asking, do you distribute your music? Hello to other folks who've joined us live. Hello to Rock Avalanida. I never know how to say your name. I'm very sorry. Hello, Keonra over there on the West Coast. Question, does anyone use loops from Addictive Drums? Been messing with them, but I haven't used the loops before. I used to use Addictive Drums. I actually have an Addictive Drums 2 or 3 license for my PC when I used to use Reaper, and I used Addictive Drums on that. So I have used them. They're good. They're good, and lots of customization. So the good thing about Addictive Drums or plugins like that, VST or AU plugins, is that you can use their loops, but then you can go in and edit and change them and customize them. Or you can change the kit that you're using, or you can, because they're MIDI triggers, you can change the BPM, you can change a lot of things about them. So yeah, I like them. So let folks know if you've had experience. Let friend Frigsy know if you've had experience with Addictive Drums. It is, as Thomas says, it's kind of amazing. We can easily, excuse me. Apologies, I've got a frog in my throat today. Kind of amazing we can easily get our music in all the stores right alongside major artists and bands like Nirvana. I know, every time I look at my song and then I'm scrolling through and I'm in a playlist and I just put the randomize button next to me and then it starts playing like Foo Fighters and Muse and I'm like, what? This is ridiculous. Yeah, love it. Cool. I like to, Conrad says I like to purchase music outright and have an MP3 on my PC and my phone, each to their own. Yeah, exactly. Some people like that. Some people like physical media. Physical media, as many folks know, is making a big comeback. So a lot of folks are now using vinyl again. Cassettes, would you believe, are making a big comeback. Like there's a whole lot of folks that really just enjoy having physical media. So yeah, and Frigsy says, agreed. I know so many people have a problem with how much digital streaming pays, but we can record at home now almost for free. Would have cost thousands of euros, pounds, or dollars back in the day. True that. And yeah, that's the thing. I was thinking about this during the week. I'm going to go off on a weird, slight tangent. I know, that's what this show's all about. That's why I love this show, because it's just tangent city. So weird tangent is that when the barrier of entry is lowered to something, it does make it harder to succeed. So the example that I'll give is Netflix. If you've been following the news lately, Netflix is struggling. And when I say struggling, they didn't grow. They, in fact, lost subscribers. So, yes, they have millions and millions of subscribers, but they actually lost a couple of 100,000 subscribers, which is the first time ever that that's happened quarter by quarter. So Netflix, as you may know, they charge a monthly subscription fee. People sign up and they watch stuff. What's happened? Why are they starting to lose subscribers? Well, because you've got Disney Plus, because you've got Hulu, because you've got Amazon Prime, because you've got, in Australia here, we've got Stan, because you've got Paramount Plus, because you've got the Peacock in the US, because you've got BritBox here in Australia, because you've got BBC and ABC iView and players. So there are so many options and choices for streaming platforms that Netflix is not the only player in town. And couple with that, the fact that places like Amazon and Apple and Disney, they can make their streaming service a loss leader if they want. They can undercharge and overpay, because if you, say, have your Apple subscription to Apple TV that you get for free with every device, and then you want to use, say, Apple Cloud services or Apple Arcade, you're probably just going to bundle them all together and you're going to keep that. So they can actually kind of sell your Apple TV at a loss if they want to, because they're going to make it up in other ways. And it's the same with Amazon. It's the same with these big studios that are doing it. Netflix. They're streaming. They're 100% streaming. So they need to make sure that they're making money on their streaming service. How does that relate to what we do here with music? Well, it's exactly the same, isn't it? Go back to the days, just as Friggsy said there, in the day, to do what we do now, to record. And so what I'd say here, to create, record, and release. You could always create music. You could always write your own songs, grab your guitar, create music. You could record to a degree on a 4-track recorder, or if you're really fancy, you'd bought yourself a home 8-track digital recorder, like the old Zoom recorders in the days. You could record. The quality was not as good as what you'd get in a studio, even a base level studio. And to set up a studio in the analog days was prohibitively expensive. And even in the digital days, you're looking in the tens of thousands, not just the hundreds or thousands, to set yourself up any sort of pro sounding studio. Now you compare that to today, where I can get a $100 interface and plug it into my iPhone and grab a $90 microphone and plug that in, and I'm getting pretty good quality sound. A little reverb, a little delay, a bit of processing and mixing and compression, and I got myself a song. Because everyone can do that now, because it's not just the artists that get signed by labels and that get deals and then get the advances and the loans and the money to record, it means that there is a lot more competition. So every time I see someone out there going, oh no, how do I get famous? How do I get big in music? Unfortunately, it is easier to try and harder to succeed. Does that make sense? I know it might sound like I'm being a little bit sort of depressing and down in the dumps here, but it's not meant to be. It is just that with the barrier of entry lowering, means more people can come in. It means there's more noise, there's more people doing it. Netflix now have a lot of company, and so do you. So you are like Netflix. So watch that. Very, very cool. Hello to Pickle. Good to have Pickle here in the chat here. Tony Corlett says, Pete, more artists producing more music makes it harder to stand out. Yep, only artists who are signed a major record company get good PR and advertising to stand out. That's actually true. I'm not going to argue with that at all, because it is true. But here's the thing. It's even hard for the artists that get signed. So people think that as soon as you get signed and you get that A&R and that PR and that money to spend, that's going to be the end of it. The problem there is, though, that a lot of the record companies pass that back on to their artists. So they want to make money. And the way record companies have worked traditionally and still work today is that they will sign 100 artists in the hope that one or two of those blow up. You know what happens to the 98 or 99? They usually end up making either zero money or owing money back to the record label. So I've seen it happen a bunch of times where artists will get to the point where they're like, oh, I've got this record deal and I'm so happy about this, and they're going to pay to do a music video, and then they're going to pay for press, and they're going to pay for playlist placement. Yeah, if you read the fine print of a lot of those contracts, a lot of that money that gets put into that is like an advance. It's like a loan. So it doesn't often end well for the artist. But you're right, like anything, it is harder. It's harder. I can't buy Twitter, but Elon Musk can. Let's talk about that, shall we? Let's talk about Twitter. See, we call that a segue in the business. So what do you think? What do you think about Twitter? Do you use Twitter? I must admit, I've never quite got Twitter. I've never quite got the point of it. I don't know what it does differently to something like Facebook or Instagram. A lot of people say it's like the water cooler of social media. It's the place where you go to chat and discuss things, yell and argue at clouds or whatever it is. But I've never quite got into it. I started using Twitter when it was first launched, and here's how old I'm going to sound. Twitter was first launched as a mobile service, not an app, because we didn't have apps. It was a mobile service where you signed up with usually you signed up on your desktop with your mobile number. And then when someone would tweet, it would go to your mobile number and you would tweet out to all your friends by texting to one mobile number. So it was like a giant group text back in the day. And I found it pretty cool. Like, I remember I was going on a trip to Melbourne, and my brother-in-law and his partner were meeting us in Melbourne, and we were driving across driving across from Adelaide to Melbourne, and we were tweeting at each other, and we were saying, "Oh, we're at Bordertown. Where are you? Oh, yeah, we're just on the outskirts." Like, that's what it was back in the day. And then it sort of evolved over time to become more of this news source and trending topic source and celebrities putting themselves out there and making random comments. And Elon Musk now wants to buy it. So, look, I don't know. But is Elon a genius? Is he a troll? Is he somewhere in between? I don't know. I don't have strong opinions on a lot of these things. I don't like it. I don't like manipulation, and I don't like people that do things for attention as opposed to for actual outcomes and reasons. So that's probably why I've stayed off Twitter. I'm anti-drama. For those that know me well, I don't like drama, and Twitter seems to have its fair share of drama. The only time I tend to go to Twitter is when someone says, "Oh, did you see so and so passed away?" And then I'll just go and I'll not verify it, but I'll go to Twitter to see the links to the articles to make sure it's validated and verified from a few different sources. So yeah, we will see. Friggsy says Spotify used to set a survey a while back. I may have went on a rant with them, kind of told them that they don't do enough to promote smaller artists. I'm sure Taylor Swift doesn't need New Music Friday. Yeah. Look, you know what? They can have their New Music Friday. We'll have our Your Music Live. We'll promote indie artists. And you're like, thanks, Pete. Your reach is like 1,000 viewers that watch Your Music Live, and there's like millions. But yeah. Look, it is tough. I'm not gonna argue that you don't have an uphill battle if you are smaller and independent, but it is possible now. So look at, what I'm doing here, but look at people like Renee Ritchie, who left the corporate world, has now gone out independent, who's, huge Apple pundit and has a massive following there. It can be done. There are a lot of creators. Our own friend Mike from Creative Source, who's coming up next in 10 minutes time, by the way, with Fix My Mix. He's done the same thing. He's gone from 0 to 100K subscribers in a few years. It can be done if you put your mind to it. And the same with music. It's just a bigger barrier to entry. And again, it's what people want and what people are listening to. And unfortunately, like music at the moment, like video at the moment, a lot of people are doing a lot of other things right now. So because of the last 2.5 years and what's been going down, things are not over, but people are thinking things are coming to close to being over. So there's a lot more people outside doing more things, especially in North America and the UK and Europe right now. A lot less people are watching YouTube. Don't worry, don't get out the small violin for me. It's still fine. But people are discovering less music. So I guess the hard thing is that if you are trying to crack the music scene, it is hard to do. I'm never going to sit here and tell you it's easy at all. Tweeting's for the birds. Yeah, Bubba don't tweet either. That's what I've heard. Keonra says, I've used Twitter for years to keep up to date with the latest research. Back when I was an IT project manager. Yeah, like there's a lot of people sharing a lot of things. And look, the one thing I'll say about Twitter is at least it's not LinkedIn. My goodness, that thing is rough. A friend of mine got signed to a major label and was less a priority than the established artist to promote. Yeah, because when you get signed to a label, they're throwing you out there. They're seeing if they're throwing a little bit of bait into the water and seeing if they get a nibble. If they start seeing fish start schooling around, then they'll of course start throwing more bait out there. Weird fishing analogy. Looking like Elon deal might fall through. Yeah, really hope it does myself, but whatever. Doesn't use much. Yeah, I don't use it much anyway. I don't know. I don't know what's going to happen there. I don't follow public figures I respect. I follow public figures I respect on Twitter to get an echo chamber of news, I believe. At least you're admitting it. At least you're admitting that. And look, that's a lot of what social media can be, isn't it? Don't follow the people that have the controversial views that aren't what you agree with. Only follow the people that agree with you, and that way you never have to worry about it. Elon Musk is an actor. See, I'm going to get flagged. Like, you know how there was the C word things that I used to not say because it would be like it could a flag thing. Now it'll be Elon Musk. If you say Elon Musk more than 5 times in a show or in a video, it'll put a little thing Elon Musk. That's like a misinformation warning below. Pickle says, my second favourite band, Chevelle, made no money from their album release last year because their label took the money. They're a popular band, 1 million plus monthly users. Yeah, it happens. Taylor Swift, the reason that she's re-releasing all of her albums is that her original record deal, she didn't own the masters. So what is she doing? She's actually going back into the studio, going back into a studio and re-recording because she owns the songs. She owns the copyright to the songs. She owns the actual songs, but she doesn't own the original masters. So she's re-releasing and then saying to her fans, don't listen to the version produced and put out by my record company that they own the masters, the previous record company. Go listen to these ones. I think that's really a fascinating thing. Way too many people posting. It's not super safe for work, is it, on Twitter? Twitter is for narcissists and attention seekers. There you go, straight to the point. Straight to the point there. And exactly. I don't think Twitter's a great. So what we should probably stop talking about it because you're right. I don't think Twitter is a great platform for music promotion. I think it is more of that water cooler chat and talking about other topics and things. Hello, EmoBot9000. Promoting is so difficult. I have 40k followers on Facebook, but when I post a song I made on Facebook, it only shows it to around 1% of my followers. Yeah, unless you pay. And that's where we're at now. So, and again, the thing is, we'll take the Twitter banner off because I want to talk about Twitter. We've got 8 minutes left. The thing is, I'm trying to think of how to word this. Why don't we just move on? I want to talk about this because it's related to that. Yeah, look, you do. If you're a platform, like what I was going to say is if you're a platform, if you're YouTube, you are going to need to make money. So therefore they engage with advertisers. And then when you watch a show like mine, you might be served an ad that fits in with what you might want to engage with. And that's the way it works. And it really is just coming down to anything that's free. If you're not paying any dollars for it, then your data, your information is the product. So that's something to keep in mind. I watched a series over on Hulu, I believe it was. It was called The Dark Side of the 90s. And it was fascinating because they talked about Web 1. So the original .com boom, and this happened in the 90s, and if you want to watch it, it's actually quite interesting. And it talks a lot about pets.com as kind of the main sort of flagship of the whole Web 1 movement. And after watching it, I just had to stop and think and went, this is very familiar. This is very much what is happening now, right now in Web 3.0. Because what it was back then, it was these companies that were basically making a company. Here's how it worked in the original Web 1. You would make a company. You would put a product out or a service out. You would get as many users, followers, subscribers, buyers, customers as you could to get to the point where you could actually then offload it and sell it to someone bigger who would buy it up. Actually making money or actually being productive and being profitable wasn't really a thing. And what we're seeing now with Web 3.0, if you're not familiar with Web 3.0, we're talking cryptocurrency, we're talking NFTs, non-fungible tokens, is we're seeing the same thing. We're seeing a lot of people, and they were talking about the Web 1.0, like web millionaires that basically made a company, sold it off, got millions and millions of dollars, and then thought that the gravy train would never end, so went out and bought the house and the Lambo and the everything, and then the bubble burst, and then they lost it all. I'm kind of seeing a bit of a parallel with what's going on at the moment. Not as dramatic yet, but I think it has the potential to be. And what it made me think of is that nothing is ever going to be like we've got this quick fix mentality, I think, sometimes, and this silver bullet. It's why we're going to talk music scams today. We're going to run out of time to talk music scams, but it's why there's so many music scams out there. Why so many people are spending $50 on these playlist promotion placement services that are actually dodgy, that are actually just using bots or using very cheap labor to give them a whole bunch of streams and follows that then gets discovered by the platform and gets them banned. The reason that those exist is that people want the quick fix. They don't want to do the grind. The grind is hard. I get it. And it's kind of the same at the moment. And the reason that I thought I'd throw this out there is that, yeah, it hit me. It hit me that we haven't learnt. Web 1, Web 2, and now Web 3, every time these things happen, people get super excited about the new shiny thing, and then they go all in on it. They get some success and think that the success is going to last forever. They don't consider the fact that if you're not actually being profitable and delivering a tangible product or service, that someone's got to lose. And eventually, even if you're the short-term winner, you're probably going to be a long-term loser if you keep doing the same thing over and over again, because the well dries up and it won't be there anymore. So that's my warning there. Alrighty. I'll just see if there's any other comments here. Promoting is, Facebook, as soon as you post a link, and then it's all about the dollar. Exactly. So if you've got a music site, it's like a music artist page on Facebook or other platforms, you used to be able to get better organic reach, but as soon as all these platforms, and look, to be honest, they're actually doing an okay thing, because at least they're not just providing a free service and not actually making it profitable, because then it won't last, then it'll go away completely. So they had to work out a way to monetize these platforms, and they've done it through payment. So it means that if you are not paying anything for Facebook ads, Instagram ads, YouTube ads, you are going to get pushed to the bottom of the heap. So if you pay for it, you're going to go to the top, because they want to be paid. And it's sad, but it's true. All right. Hello, Ed Z. You've tuned in just in time for us to finish up here. So let me know when you're doing a special on music scams. So what I'll do, I was going to talk about these, but there's a video. I'll link it in the description below, because we didn't have time to talk about it here today. This one here, I'll throw it in the chat for you here now, Tony, or anyone that wants to check it out. So I did a 30-minute deep dive into music scams. You can see I was like looking like the dodgy character there at the start. So jump on over and check that one out if you want to hear my thoughts on music scams, because I get them on the daily. It's to the point now where I just don't believe anyone. Like, some legitimate platforms have been reaching out to me, and they've sent me 2 and 3 emails, and I'm like, I'm really sorry. I do this very cursory glance, and as soon as anyone mentions playlisting or streams or gaining followers or marketing plans or I'm a marketing expert and here's what I'm going to offer, I just tune out. I don't even go with it. So there you go. I'm looking forward to a LinkedIn rant. Oh boy, yeah, I'll definitely go on a LinkedIn rant in the future. Let's save that for next week, Derek. My goodness. Basically, there's a formula for LinkedIn posts if you've ever been on that platform. It's just like, I'm so proud of the accomplishment of my team for doing X. We're really great that we're working for Y, and it's like, it's such a anyway. It's a giant suck up, basically. It's so that you can show your boss that you're a team player so that you can get a promotion. Let's be honest. Or that you can show future employers that you're doing good things. It's a giant brag board, and I don't like it. There's nothing real about it. Alrighty. We've got, thank you to the mods, by the way. Thank you to moderators who moderate this really well. We are going to finish up here. I did want to throw, we normally do hidden gems, or we used to on this show, and I'm going to throw a hidden gem out here, and it's a very cool name of a creator, and it's the produce aisle. See what they did there? Because producer, the produce aisle, like in the supermarket. Yeah, it's cool. So do jump on over here, because the person behind the produce aisle is actually going to be on Mike's Fix My Mix show, which is coming up right after this one. Yeah, number 16. So Loren from the produce aisle will be live with Mike on Fix My Mix. I'm going to jump on over there right now and join the fun, because they will be live in around about 1 minute's time. So I invite you to do the same thing. Subscribe to Loren at the produce aisle and join her and Mike for a chat about all things mixing over on Fix My Mix on the Creator Town Hall. As usual, we've done about 50% of the things that I plan to do here, but that's what this is all about, tangents and rants. So I hope you enjoyed some of the tangents and rants. If you did, hit the thumbs up button down below. You can leave us a comment. If you're watching on the replay, I'd love to hear your views on things. And you know what we didn't do? We didn't actually close off that survey. So let's do that, and then we're going to finish off before the end. So I'm going to hit the end poll, and look at that. Of all those answering, 55% of you are already distributing music through DistroKid. So that's pretty cool because that's who I recommend. Huge thank you to our sponsors, BandLab. Check out the link up there and down in the description. Sign up to BandLab. It is free and it is cool. And I will be sharing very soon. I'll be making public those tracks, those 8 tracks that we played with here today, which is my 8-bar challenge for the month of May 2022. Thank you everyone for being here. Please be kind to yourself this week. Please be kind to others. Keep creating. I'll see you over on Fix My Mix in a couple of minutes. And have fun. Bye for now. See ya.